What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. Matt is going to be joining me in just a moment to talk week 3 of the NFL season and start looking ahead to week 4. No Red Sox rant at the top of this podcast. I know last week I said you might get one, but the Sox are doing a pretty good job. They are hanging in there, looking like they're going to make the playoffs. Knock on wood. Fingers crossed for the Sox. I think either way, it's been a hell of a season. You have to be impressed in what was supposed to be a rebuilding year and starting to get the young guys in type of year that they're playing baseball that matters this late in the season. It is a far cry from where they've been the last couple of years and something that all Red Sox fans should be excited about. However, there is an old saying that says how something ends is how it went, where the ending is what we remember the most about our experience and that it colors the entire experience. Where maybe you had a great relationship that ended really, really poorly. You probably don't look back on that fondly. Or maybe it's 2007 and your football team is 18-0 and then loses the Super Bowl. Don't like to look back on that season very much, even though statistically that is the greatest football team of all time, the 2007 New England Patriots. But great season for the Red Sox, kind of no matter what happens. But I am really hoping they can finish this off, make the playoffs, and start getting experience for some of these younger guys and rewarding some of the vets who have made this season awesome, like Trevor Story. We will talk a little playoff baseball at the top of the podcast during the MLB playoffs. So starting next week, I'll talk a little playoff baseball at the top, maybe give you guys some picks, things I'm noticing. If the Sox are in, we're talking Sox, especially if they play the Yankees. So go Sox, beat the Jays, beat the Detroit Tigers. I grew up in Detroit with all my friends giving me shit for being a Boston fan, so I would love to see the Red Sox complete the Tigers' collapse and knock them out of the playoffs. So there's a little MLB for you guys. You will get more during the course of the MLB playoffs. But before we get started today, I just want to remind you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Really appreciate you guys listening and watching. If you're checking us out on YouTube, if you haven't checked out on YouTube yet, I don't know what's wrong with you. The videos are great. Go like and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow that. Really appreciate your guys' support either way. And please reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. Let me know how your baseball team is doing. You want to talk baseball, hockey season's coming up. Started listening to some basketball podcasts today. Anything you guys want to holler at us about, reach out to us. Always happy to have those conversations. But for now, Matt and I have to have a conversation about week 3 and 4 of the NFL. So let's grab him and let's go. All right, Matt is here, fresh off of week 3 of the NFL season. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
So fucking good.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
I imagine that after the Motor City Kitties took it to the Baltimore Ravens on the road Monday night, that you're probably in a much better mood than I am coming off of week 3. What real quick before we get started, what were your takeaways from the Lions game?
I mean, we saw like huge tangible growth from both of the coordinators. The offense just looks as dominant as it ever has been. And the defense went up against, quite frankly, a dynamic duo in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry that you and I both kind of agree is the most terrifying combination in the NFL, probably. And they executed their plan almost flawlessly. There were a couple of breakdowns here and there, but in the second half, they were locked in. And even in the post-game presser, Lamar Jackson was asked, okay, well, you've had teams play contain and put a spy on you in the past, and it's not really been a problem. What was the difference this time? And credit where credit's due. His answer was they were disciplined.
Better combo Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, or Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor? Because one combo has been more lethal than the other to start this season, and it may not be the one that we would expect coming in.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that looks by at the end of week 6.
Yeah. I keep saying every week, I'm like, all right, well, I want to see Indianapolis go up against a real defense. And then they beat Denver. And then I'm like, okay, well, I want to see it for another week. And then they do it for another week. So I feel like Indy's going to be the team where we're sitting here in like week 9. And we're like, yeah, but I want to see them do it in week 10. And then they do it in week 10. And you're like, okay, but week 11 is where the season really starts. So,
I mean, getting pummeled by Jared Verse is certainly going to be a test.
Yeah.
Because that guy is also terrifying.
I'm exaggerating, but I actually am really interested to see the Colts versus the Rams this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But if they beat the Rams, are we going to admit they're good, or are we going to be sitting here all year and being like, are we sure they're good? Like we've done that with teams in the past.
They might win the Super Bowl, and I might still be doing that.
I don't know. They may not be good. I wanted to read you one stat I thought you would enjoy from the Lions' victory over the Ravens. Detroit's 224 rushing yards on Monday night are the most the Ravens have allowed in a game since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is, I believe, third most in the history of the franchise.
That is a lot of rushing yards.
Yes.
Wish my team could run the ball. Maybe we'll run the ball successfully someday. That'd be nice.
Well, certainly don't give the ball to your second round draft pick running back. That would be silly.
That would be ridiculous. Who would do such a thing? You don't draft a running back in the second round to play them. You know, every other running back in your backfield is fumbling. You have a guy on the bench who didn't fumble in 667 college touches. Don't give him the ball. That would just be ridiculous. Josh, we will talk about my shitty team in a minute. As you can tell, not everybody's weekend was as great as Matt's. In fact, there were quite a few teams in the NFL that had pretty horrific losses for one reason or another. So I wanted to play a game with you called Who Had the Shittiest Sunday? I have 8 contestants that we can talk through here, and then at the end we can decide which one of them actually had the shittiest Sunday. Contestant number 1, from the state of Ohio, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who lost 48-10 to the Minnesota Vikings in a battle of backup quarterbacks. I really felt like the difference in this game is that, and I know that we shouldn't treat this as a referendum on JJ McCarthy, but I'm just going to say that like you had a guy in JJ McCarthy who had only played 2 NFL games, right? And then he gets hurt. He has an ankle injury. And you bring in Wentz, who hasn't been anything special for years now, but like the Vikings are going from a rookie who is learning and had some moments but didn't look very good overall to a veteran who's played in the NFL for a long time, knows how to run an offense. On the other hand, the Bengals, all of your money is invested in basically 4 players now. And the most important of those 4 players, your quarterback, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, is hurt. And so you're going from, hey, one of the very best players in the league at the most important position to Jake, I shit my pants every time Brian Flores blitzes me, Browning.
Yeah.
Jake Browning my pants. And this might just kind of be who the Bengals are, with Jake Browning my pants against good defenses. Like, not a good Sunday. if you're the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not good, and also like at the same time, I would say you knew this is a very real possibility if you're a Bengals fan. Like Joe Burrow goes down, you're not really expecting to win a lot of games that way. As for the referendum on JJ McCarthy too, it's like, yeah, you're going from a guy who started 3 games in the NFL to, for all of his flaws, he is now in his 10th year in the NFL. So, not really the same level of knowledge and preparation there. So
I really wanted Carson Wentz to ball out so that I could get on this podcast and talk about how shitty JJ McCarthy is. Like, I was getting like, yes, I knew it. JJ's awful. And now it's still TBD.
Apparently, Isaiah Rodgers just had to steal the show and be the best player in football.
Yeah, he might come up on a segment later in this podcast.
But if we're being real, it's more really like the luckiest player in football.
Yeah. The most right time, right placey player in football.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. Browning against, like, he comes in against the Jags and had a couple bad passes that got picked, but like played decent. And everybody was kind of like, oh, well, if Browning can just kind of get to his stuff and they'll start running stuff that he likes more and blah, blah, blah. Sending a backup quarterback in against Brian Flores's blitzing defense is just not going to go well in his first full start. Like, I just think that was never going to go well for them.
It's a defense that, if you don't know how to attack it, is incredibly difficult to go against. And as we saw at the end of last season, if you do know how to attack it, it is kind of easy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, guys like Stafford, like Goff had time, like guys who can carve up blitzes. I mean, it's 2 very different levels.
Specifically fire zone blitzes.
Yeah, it's 2 very different levels of carving up a blitz between Stafford and Goff there, but it just wasn't going to happen with Browning. But I think the other takeaway from this game is, like, the Vikings are built, like, I don't know what the best way to say this is, but they're built around the quarterback, where that team is built to win games kind of despite who their quarterback is.
Yeah.
They have like a pretty good defense that's well coached. They have that fire zone blitzing scheme that is can be very difficult. They have a good running game. Like, Jordan Mason was awesome with Aaron Jones out. This is probably Jordan Mason's backfield going forward. But, we've talked ad nauseum on this podcast about the scheme with Kevin O'Connell and all of the weapons they have on offense. The offensive line is a lot better this season. Like, they're built to win with a rookie quarterback like JJ McCarthy or a backup with Carson Wentz. The Bengals are completely reliant on Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
To be a good football team. Well, can they win games with Browning? Sure. They already beat the Jags. Will they win a lot of games with Browning? No, because like I said, this team is extremely, extremely top heavy. Probably the most top heavy team in the NFL. And that kind of came out on Sunday. Shitty Sunday for the Bengals. Contestant number 2. We're not going too far away. We're going to go to Green Bay and the Packers, who lost to the Cleveland Browns 13-10 on Sunday. I wanted to ask you a couple questions about this game because I'm sure that you enjoyed it thoroughly.
So before you get into that, I didn't bring it up last week because I'm like, okay, this is the hater in me. This is probably just the Lions fan. But I was sitting there like, man, what if Cleveland's defense just punches them in the mouth? And that is exactly what happened.
I made fun of PFF going into week 3 because they had Cleveland's defense as the number 1 graded defense in the NFL. Yeah. Like, after they lost to the Ravens 41-14 17 or whatever it was. They're like, this is the best defense.
They do have some weaknesses, but
well, this is the thing I wanted
ones that the Packers are set up to take advantage of.
This is the thing I wanted to ask you, because I feel like Cleveland's defense might actually just be really nasty this season. So PFF has them number 1 graded overall defense, the number 1 graded run defense by a country mile. I think they're about 9 points higher than any other team in PFF's grading. They also have them as the best pass rush. So they can stop the run and they can rush the passer. Mm-hmm. The coverage isn't as good, but if you can do those 2 things at a very, very high level, you have a pretty nasty defense. Cleveland's run defense has held Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs to 93 total yards on 48 rushing attempts to start the season. 1.9 yards per carry. And I just want to warn you, I want you to be very, very careful what you say about Green Bay in this segment, because the next team to go up against Cleveland's defense is none other than the Motor City Kitties this weekend.
Yeah.
Who, like, I was looking at our eliminator pool pick, and I think there is one very, very obvious answer that we have to go with this weekend. But I was like, damn, at this point, is Cleveland like an automatic pick against in the eliminator pool? Because, like, I don't think they are. Like, they're on the road at Detroit, and I was like, am I picking that game? Like, if I wasn't able to pick the one game we are going to pick this weekend, am I picking against Cleveland? Like, am I that confident right now with how good that defense is?
If it wasn't for the timing, I would be totally with you. What I will say is that on top of losing this game, which, aside from being hilarious, like, definitely benefits Detroit, right? Another huge gift for Detroit in this situation is there is zero chance that Detroit is looking past Cleveland right now. Like, none whatsoever. And I mean, that defense, like I said, is really great, but it does have some weaknesses. Those corners do not tackle. And if you miss a tackle on Jameson Williams or Jahmyr Gibbs, good luck.
Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to beat Detroit this weekend.
No, but
I obviously wouldn't pick that, but it's like,
you want to feel safe in it, and those teams built like Cleveland don't make you feel safe picking them to lose.
This is the thing, is like, Cleveland is going to bite people in the ass like 3 or 4 more times this season by virtue of that defense alone. The real problem for Cleveland is not that their corners don't tackle. It's that their offense is legitimately horrific.
It's a black hole for their own team. Like,
yeah, it might actually be better now with Judkins, because he was very good this weekend.
They don't win that game without him.
No. And against like a team, like the Packers defense has been good to start the season too. So it was impressive. But overall, they are third to last in EPA per play. Like, they have the big EPA graph I talked about last week where it's like, the different quadrants, and they're so far to the negative offense side that is almost comical. Yet they are somehow ahead of 2 other teams. Would you like to guess who is behind the Cleveland Browns in EPA per play right now?
I'm going to definitely go with the New Orleans Saints.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Saints might be the worst team I've ever seen in my life. Like, we're talking 0-16 Lions bad with the Saints right now.
And then, is it the Titans?
It's not. It's the Cincinnati Bengals, actually.
God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
When you have two
That
defensive
makes
touchdowns scored against you, I think the EPA
Yeah.
per play swings the other direction.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
pretty
mean,
bad.
they've had a game and a half without Burrow now. So
Yeah, but even when Burrow played,
they still weren't like firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, well,
in
they
any
played
way.
Cleveland. They played
Yeah.
Cleveland week 1, and everybody's like, it just takes Burrow some time to warm up. And it's like,
No,
what
they
if
just-
Cleveland's nasty?
Yeah.
Like, we talked about this a little bit in the pre-show, but I was watching Myles Garrett on Sunday, and I was like, man, who are the best defensive players I've ever watched in my life? I'm not old enough to have watched Lawrence Taylor or Deion Sanders in his prime, so I'm not going to include those guys. So people that are like, God, like Ronnie Lott, Lawrence Taylor, blah, blah. I understand, and I have the appropriate respect for the legends, but the best defensive players I have ever watched, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, prime Darrelle Revis, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
I would say, like...
But would you put Sapp in there?
Yeah, probably. Sapp's probably at the very top of the next tier. Like,
he's like...
Yeah.
Kind of what I was saying about Myles Garrett. He's like on that verge.
Yeah, there's like this next tier that's like Julius Peppers, Brian Urlacher was up there, Warren Sapp. Like there's so many guys. Brian Dawkins, a lot of guys.
Yep.
But I think Myles Garrett is like right at the top of that second tier right now.
Yeah.
Like just for best players I've ever watched. He's like right there with like the Warren Sapps and the Julius Pepperses and those kind of guys.
It is funny to me though on Sapp that like for me he is very much like the Shaq of the NFL. It's like, man, if you just took care of your body.
Hey, you probably remember this. We would probably remember this because we talked about this when we played football together. That I forget who it was. It was one of the coaches or someone that was like we were in plyos conditioning.
Yeah.
And they were like, who has the fastest 40 time in the NFL? And everybody was like guessing people. And they're like, who has the fastest 10 yard split in the NFL? And everybody's like wide receivers and corners and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, it's none of those guys. Warren Sapp.
Yeah.
And I read the stat on this podcast before, but Warren Sapp's 40 time during his combine is like legitimately insane for a guy that size. I forget what it is, but it's like I want to say it's like low 4s, something like that. We'll have to consult the research department here. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a number that will shock and appall you for a man that was the size of Warren Sapp. But while you're finding that, I also think this Cleveland versus the Packers game was a bit of a case of like the Packers getting too much smoke blown up their asses too early in the season. And they're kind of believing their own hype a lot. And then coming out and not only getting punched in the face by this defense, but also not having a very good game plan. Because why the hell is Jordan Love's intended air yards 1.9 per attempt? Like that is basically 1.9 yards per attempt is basically you're like only throwing screens and stuff at the line of scrimmage the entire game.
That's insane.
Not sure what they were calling in that one.
Yeah, 4.69.
Yeah. Yeah. For Warren Sapp. I wanted to say it was like sub 4.8 or something like that. So that's right. I think it's like the second fastest time ever for a defensive lineman. It was beat by Kalijah Clancy a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
For an interior defensive lineman. So Green Bay, shitty day on Sunday. Candidate number 3, the Houston Texans lost 17-10 to the Jacksonville Jags. The Texans are now 0-3 after having some high hopes coming into the season. Only 6 teams have ever started 0-3 and then gone on to make the playoffs. One of them was the 2018 Houston Texans. So, you know, for what it's worth, but it has not happened since the playoffs expanded in 2020. Rough spot for them.
Adam, when we were picking our wild cards, it was tough. And we were really having a hard time figuring out like those last spots. It was a little tempting to kind of go the chalky route and like go against our convictions and slot Houston in there. I'm so glad we didn't.
Yeah. I said that this was going to be a year of conviction. I think I said this last year and then completely gave up on my convictions. But we talked about this in the AFC South preview pod, that it was like one of my big tenets or like takes coming into the season was the Houston Texans are going to be bad. And then I started looking at all the other teams and I was like, shit, I have no idea who I can pick to win this division because I am not picking Houston. I almost gave up on it and picked Houston just by default. And like we talked through it and we were like, no, we believe this. We're sticking to it. We'll figure it out on the fly. And yeah, I 100% agree with you. I'm so glad that we stuck by our guns because this team fucking sucks. This team sucks. And I think like everybody just wants to point to the offensive line, which is something I pointed out 2 months ago. But thank you very much.
Stroud, even when he's clean, has been bad.
Yeah. Yeah. CJ Stroud just has not been good. And if you're talking about why Sunday was shitty for the Texans, it's not just because you're 0-3 and your season might be over. It's not just because your offense is bad, but I think the Texans have speed run. We have a franchise quarterback. We're saved. Haha. To this guy might suck.
Yeah.
This guy might suck. And like, it was not long ago that if you were a Houston Texans fan, you're like, we got the steal of the draft, the back-to-back with Stroud and Anderson was the shit. Like, this was so good. We're set up for the future. Where we have the guy who's going to compete with Mahomes and Allen and Burrow and all these guys in the AFC. Lamar Jackson, because someone's going to get pissed at me for not saying that.
Yeah.
And we're here. I mean, you and I felt this way last year, but we're here 2 short years later where I feel like the rest of the football watching public is starting to catch on to the fact that CJ Stroud might not be it.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched for the majority of his, 11, 12 years in Detroit, Matt Stafford played behind bad offensive lines. And no one ever gave him that excuse. I get it not resulting in wins, right? It's hard to win when you can't win in the trenches. But when you are the guy who touches the ball every time, every single play, you still need to be able to make plays consistently that helps your team have a chance to win. And that is the thing that we're not seeing from Stroud. And yes, like the protection is terrible. But if it's those hits that have taken that ability out of you, then I do think that gives me serious concerns about your ability to persevere through difficult situations.
Yeah. Week 2, he had a bad throw rate of 35%.
Yeah.
And we talked about this last week where I was like, it was 35%. 35% is horrific. And people were like, it's the line. It's the line. I'm like, no, you don't get a 35% bad throw rate in a game just because of the line.
Yeah.
You know, and it was better this week. It was back down to like 11%, but the problems with the offense are deeper than just offensive line. PFF has them as the 25th rated offense in the NFL. I think that's being extremely generous at this point.
Yeah.
In terms of EPA per play, they're only slightly ahead of the Cleveland Browns, who we just shit on for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Their offense, at least. So it's bad. And like, what game is it where, like, have we already passed the point where we need to have the CJ Stroud referendum, or is that still coming? Is that later this season where it's on First Take and people are like, oh, my hot take is that CJ Stroud might not be it. And I'll be like, I had that take 2 years ago. God damn it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
not a good Sunday
after his rookie year, we were both, firmly in the place of this was great. Like, I want to see it again. Right. And then he didn't have a good year. It wasn't this bad, but it wasn't good. It was pretty rough. Now we're seeing it kind of get even worse. I'm firmly in a point of you got to show me anything for me to actually believe that you're that guy that you were as a rookie. I am sure that the national media probably won't come around until like maybe the off season or late in this season.
Well, I'm not a Houston fan. Obviously, I would love to have a Houston fan reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com, and tell us how you feel about CJ Stroud. But going into week 3, like, and I know this is a very extreme example, but Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were 0-2.
Yeah.
And they're playing the Giants. And you're just like, there is absolutely no way in hell Patrick Mahomes is going 0-3. And I don't care about all of the limitations the Chiefs have. It's just not happening, especially not against a bad team. You can't say that about CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
But they're playing the Jags, who, I don't know. The Jags are fine, I guess. They're not, it's like not great shakes. You can't put up 10 against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like this was like the first game where maybe even Houston fans were looking at it and being like, oh shit, this might not be our guy.
Yeah. Although in fairness, if Russell Wilson gives his receivers anything resembling a chance in the red zone, maybe the Chiefs do go 0-3. So
maybe. Team 4, the LA Rams, had a 26-7 lead against the Philadelphia Eagles, proceed to blow it. So it becomes 27-26 Philadelphia. The Rams drive down, line up to kick the game-winning field goal, and it gets blocked and taken back for a touchdown for just an all-time bad beat if you bet on the Rams plus 3.5, because lining up for that field goal, you're like, sweet. If they make it, I win my bet. If they miss it, I win my bet. I'm golden.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Carter takes it back, or whoever took it back. The Eagles take it back the other way, and you lose your bet because they end up losing by 6 or 7 or whatever it is. Not fun.
Yeah.
For the Rams. This is basically like the second time that they were like this close to beating Philadelphia and couldn't get it done.
No. And so there is a certain subset of the media that is kind of looking at this game and saying like, oh, the Eagles finally started throwing to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and like that's why the Rams lost, is like the Eagles finally figured out their offense, to which I say, I don't know that they actually figured out anything. Like, they won the game after hamstringing themselves for 2.5 games. Like, I don't think they've learned any lessons. I expect them to go back to that same game plan. But that completely ignores the fact that Stafford, low-key, actually played a pretty poor game. He was missing throws. Like, in the red zone, on third downs, like, pretty consistently. His interception was like a tight window throw that he's historically over his career kind of made a lot. It just seemed like it was a day where he was just a little bit off. But you look at like the field goals that they kicked and like how they ended up kicking those field goals largely based on him just not being able to put the ball where he wanted on that particular play. Like, I feel like the Rams left at least 12 points on the field.
Yeah. Well, they got 2 field goals blocked.
Well,
so
yeah,
that's potentially 6 right there. And then
taking those away, though, like just from like the lack of execution on third downs, I felt like they left at least 12 points on the field, to the point where like the game should have already been over in those situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with you on Philly's offense too, is like, yeah, you found something out of desperation because you had to start chucking it.
Yeah.
I don't expect them to continue throwing this weekend.
Yeah. Like, do we really think Nick Sirianni's going to be the guy that's going to look in the mirror and be like, yeah, we were wrong the whole time. We should be throwing to AJ Brown more. Like,
no, I don't expect him to say that, but it sounds exactly like something he should be saying. They play the Bucks this weekend in Tampa, which is one of the games of the week. There's one that's potentially more interesting, but that'll be fun. So maybe they will have to throw. We'll see with the Bake Show. Next candidate for Worst Sunday, the Atlanta Falcons lose 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers. Best stat of the weekend from user D Merritt on Reddit. The Atlanta Falcons did not cross the Carolina Panthers 30-yard line this weekend. Not once. Penix was horrible. They had to bring in Kirk Cousins at one point. Granted, it was already a blowout. The Falcons actually cut their kicker, Young Ho Koo, because he had been a problem for them. And they just gave a contract to Parker Romo, who was like 6 for 6 in that Monday night game against the Vikings, or Sunday night game, whatever that was. Parker Romo 0 for 2 on Sunday, so that's not great. I think the worst thing is like...
Maybe Atlanta is just the problem with kickers.
The worst part of this is like, if Bryce Young was like threw for 380 and 3 touchdowns, it would be one thing. But Bryce Young wasn't even good.
He didn't have to be.
It wasn't bad.
He didn't have to do anything.
He didn't do anything. He was 16 of 24 for 121.
He scored a touchdown.
He ran for one.
Yes.
Yeah. But like, it's not like someone on Carolina like went off and killed the Falcons. They just were fucking awful.
So do you know who Michael Penix kind of looked like?
JJ McCarthy?
Desmond Ridder.
Oh.
and so like, I don't know, how far into that game is it before the Panthers are sitting there like watching Penix and being like, I don't know that we have to do anything. I think they're just going to give it to us.
I think the Falcons, the more I watch the Falcons, which is entirely too much, the more I think that they're like a basketball team that has like one really good player. It's like this is like the most unfair comp ever because this team went to the NBA Finals, but it was like that LeBron team that lost in the finals to the Spurs, where it's like they have one really good player in Bijan Robinson, and that guy is surrounded by fucking Boobie Gibson and Zydrunas Ilgauskas. And it's like, oh, maybe if we just triple team that one guy, we can win.
Yeah, the Iverson team might be a better comp, but
that team went to the finals too, though. The Falcons are never going to go to the finals.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's fair.
I'm just trying to think about a team that has like, the Tracy McGrady Magic.
Yeah.
Here we go. One
perfect,
really good, really talented player in Bijan Robinson, who still had over 100 total yards in this game, and yet the Falcons didn't get past the 30 fucking yard line. How stupid would you have to be to pick the Falcons to win the NFC South? What kind of idiot would do that for the third year in a row? What a fucking stupid thing to do when you could pick Baker Mayfield. I'm so glad I'm not that guy. I have a lot of good ones on the podcast. There are some bad ones.
Side note, you can choose whether or not to keep this in the pod. Did you hear?
Oh, no, it stays in the pod.
The story that Penny Hardaway told to explain why he thinks so many guys are like tearing their Achilles and stuff now.
Oh God. No, I don't think so.
So he was talking about when he was in school, like they really pushed drinking vitamin D milk. So they would be sitting in class and just like be ripping ass from all the milk.
Hey,
and he used that he uses that story to go on to be like, yeah, and so like that calcium's really important, and like I think that's why all these I'm like, you just wanted to tell everyone about farting in class as like I assume like a close to 60-year-old man now, maybe 50s.
Yeah, this is the new fouled out shirt. Flatulence is a small price to pay for not tearing your Achilles. I would much rather be ripping ass than tearing my Achilles.
I mean, I'm already doing one.
I'm just going to be on this podcast chugging vitamin D milk and farting for the rest of the NFL season. That's where this pod's headed, baby. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for distracting the fans from the fact that I picked the Falcons to win the NFC South like a fucking idiot.
Oh, I mean, like, I feel like that's just permanently seared into everyone's mind for every season because you're never going to stop.
So bad. I'm just going to have Bijan Robinson on my fantasy team every single year, which, like, granted, has been a good thing. He has been very good to start the season. It's just a very, very bad team.
Yeah.
All right, I've put this off long enough. We're like 40 minutes into recording this pod. The next candidate for who had the worst Sunday, my shit team, the New England Patriots, lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers 21-14 on Sunday. Matt, first downs were 26-17 New England. Yards were 369 to 203 New England. Time of possession 33-20 to 26-40 New England. This is the most infuriating type of football game to watch as a fan. This is not hyperbole at all.
No, I can appreciate your frustration.
We are so much better than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And I watched us be better for 60 minutes on Sunday. And I watched us continually shoot ourselves in the foot at the worst possible moments over and over and over and over and over and over again. 5 turnovers, 4 fumbles. 1 fumble into the end zone as Ramondre Stevenson was running in a touchdown. Drake May caps off a 17-play, 96-yard drive with a pass that's tipped at the line of scrimmage and intercepted in the end zone to end the first half. Drake May, classic second half, trying to do too much, which this was the criticism of him coming in. So I'm not entirely I'm not ringing any alarm bells on Drake. I think he's been phenomenal this season. He's actually 5th in the league in passing yards and has been running the ball too. But we knew he was going to have issues with turnovers.
Yeah,
coming in. The tipped pass for a pick is one thing. His fumble in the second half was just very, like, my dad and I were yelling, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away for about 3 seconds. And then he finally got sacked and fumbles the ball. TJ Watt, classic.
Yeah.
Strip sack. But it was that he drops back. There's clearly nothing there. Like, to the point where my dad and I are sitting on the couch instantly, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. He tries to do too much and fumbles. Like, it's going to happen. He's got to reel it in. Like, this is the same kind of shit that, like, Josh Allen went through when he first starting. But 5 turnovers, currently averaging 9 penalties per game, which is tied for 27th in the NFL. They're not disciplined right now.
No.
The Vrabel effect, and like, thank God we record this on Wednesdays and not Sunday night, because I was fucking on one on Sunday after this game. But like,
you were pretty hot, even through text.
This coaching staff needs to get their shit together. And I say it lovingly because I believe in them, and I know it's going to take time to like get the discipline and get the stuff. But like, when you watch Ramondre Stevenson fumble twice after he lost 7 last year. 7. And he loses another one in this game, and you're like, let's keep giving him the ball. And then you're like, okay, no more Ramondre. He's fumbled twice. Let's put Antonio Gibson in. Immediately fumbles. You spent a 2nd-round draft pick on a running back who fumbled 0 times in 667 touches in college. 0 fumbles. And he's sitting there watching Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. Why? Like, Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels have to get their shit together, because this is unacceptable to be this bad with penalties and be this fucking stupid to leave Travion Henderson on the bench. If he is not the lead running back against Carolina this weekend, I will absolutely be losing my shit. I don't want to see Ramondre Stevenson ever again. I don't want to hear the name Ramondre Stevenson ever again. He fumbled the ball 7 times last year.
Yeah.
What do you need to see? They're like, oh, he made a 50-yard catch against Miami. You know who would have made that a 70-yard catch? Travion fucking Henderson. Give him the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know what you need to see to give this guy the ball. A 2nd-round pick on a running back. A luxury pick for a team that honestly couldn't afford it. And you're not fucking using him. Just make it make sense, someone.
Yeah, it's frustrating to say the least, especially in the moment of watching that game. And
I'm 3 days later, and I don't know if you could tell, but I'm fucking frustrated.
Yeah, a known commodity with Mike Vrabel is tough shit rookies. You got to earn it, right? Now, obviously, this game is a pretty strong indicator that maybe there's not as much validity to that approach as some may think. But I mean, the outside of the fumbles, right? The big issue is the execution, right? We can't have the penalties. We've got to, make sure that we're running our plays on time, right? Receivers need to be where they should be, when they should be there, all that stuff. And that shit just takes time, especially when you had a whole year with Gerard fucking Mayo.
Yeah.
I
know I need to give it more time, but watching that game on Sunday, I'm like, okay, you lost.
Mm-hmm.
Changes need to be made.
Yeah.
This week. I don't want to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Change now, beat Carolina.
Yeah. And there does need to be changes, right? Sometimes that change isn't what the fans want it to be, but like, I mean, I think Dan Campbell is certainly the best like example to look at is like, yeah, when something clearly isn't working, it's gonna do something about it, right? Like
Yeah.
canned
Well,
Anthony Lynn, right?
this is the thing is like,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a Vrabel thing of like, oh yeah, the young guys got to earn their playing time.
Yeah.
What have Ramondre Stevenson and Demario Douglas done to earn their playing time? Like, I honestly, this might be a hot take, but like, I want to see Efton Chisholm this week. I want to see him this week. I want to see more Kyle Williams, who we just drafted out of Washington
those were
State.
the guys that have shown the most pop.
Those are the guys who, yeah, like I saw more out of them, and I know it was preseason, but I just saw more like grit and determination out of them than these other guys. And like, honestly, I don't know what else needs to be seen for Travion Henderson to start getting 15 or more touches a game. Like I know the young guys have to earn it, and that Travion hasn't popped yet, but like, you can't keep giving it to guys who are fucking up.
Yeah.
And so like, I want it to be an open competition. Just be like, listen, like, you guys are not starters anymore. You need to re-earn our trust. And until then, we're going with guys who are going to give us some more juice.
Yeah. I mean, even if you are still kind of in that mindset of like, rookies got to earn it. Okay. Even three-way backfield, but we're riding the hot hand.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like, if the rookies got to earn it, let them go out and earn it.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Efton Chisholm yet. We just barely started seeing Kyle Williams, and I know rookies need time, but like, the whole left side of your line is rookies. You're starting Will Campbell and Jared Wilson. How have those guys earned it and other guys haven't even been given a chance? Like, I know it's desperation, but I'm desperate right now. Can't be doing this shit.
Yeah.
Next candidate for who had the shittiest Sundays, candidate 7 of 8. The Arizona Cardinals lose to the San Francisco 49ers 16-15. And like, losing to the 49ers isn't like by 1 point isn't in and of itself like the shittiest thing that can happen to you. Like, definitely sucks they lost that game, but Matt, Marvin Harrison Jr. looked like dog shit. Are we at the point where we can say the Cardinals fucked up that pick?
It's hard to argue that at this point, right? I mean, there's at this point, what is his upside, right? Even if he like starts catching the ball, right, like winning his routes, is that upside a top 10 receiver? I don't think it is at this point. You know, he was never a guy that like was winning based on his like measurables, right? It wasn't like elite speed and agility. Like, he's kind of big, but he's not AJ Brown.
Yeah.
So like
he was supposed to be the most like technically polished, guy we'd ever seen coming in. And granted, he did get open on Sunday. He just didn't catch the ball when he did.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to give up on Marvin Harrison Jr. completely yet.
Yeah.
But my thing with the Cardinals is...
But it was like, what, pick number 4 in the draft?
Yeah, he's the 4th pick.
Yeah, like...
First non-quarterback.
To live up to that draft capital, like, I'm willing to say that was not worthwhile. Now, can he be a player you want to have on your roster in the NFL? I am not out on that yet.
Yeah. Oh, I think he is a player you want to have on your roster, especially because there's more ceiling there. But
Mm-hmm.
the Cardinals are a team that's been stuck on the wheel of mediocrity for a long
Yeah.
time now. And for those who don't know what the wheel of mediocrity is, they're just good enough to not get high picks typically
Yeah.
to add elite talent to the team, but they're not actually good enough to achieve anything. You're just like
Yeah.
in that 10 to 20 range and you're just stuck there. And it's one of the hardest places to get out of when you've built a roster out and you're paying Kyler Murray what you're paying him.
Yeah.
That pick in that draft was your opportunity to add a really elite player. And you picked Marvin Harrison Jr. when you could have had Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
Or you could have had Joe Alt. Like, you could have added a truly special player in that draft. And this is what you have. And I like, just like we were talking about with CJ Stroud, is like, I think that this weekend was the point where some Cardinals fans were probably looking at it and going, yeah, Malik Neighbors might actually be better. Like, and I know a lot of people outside of Arizona are probably saying that already. It have been saying that for a year now, but
I mean, right now, today, would you rather have Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze?
it probably has to be Odunze with how good he started this season.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a stretch like that out of Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, it's funny how good he looks when you get Shane Waldron out of the fucking picture.
Yeah. But like, Malik Neighbors might already be a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
at least top 15. Like, he's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
He is
I would
electric.
definitely say he's top 10.
Yeah, he is absolutely electric. So to have a dude who's already doing something that Marvin Harrison Jr. is likely not going to do at his ceiling of his career,
Yeah,
is a tough look. I mean, there are plenty of other guys in that draft, but like, to have it be quarterback,
mm-hmm.
you get to pick whatever non-quarterback you want. You got this guy. The two teams immediately after you got all pro caliber players, like guys who are already all pro caliber players in Joe Alt and Malik Neighbors.
Yeah,
and are only going to get better. That's a shitty Sunday for the Arizona Cardinals to lose that way.
Yeah, and also just like kind of the way that game went, I kind of felt like Jonathan Gannon was just coaching not to lose. Like, he was kind of coaching scared, it felt like. And I don't think that's how this team can get to the next level. And I totally get, we all probably have questions about Kyler Murray. I suspect that there are probably questions about Kyler Murray even within the organization. But like, you're also not going to get to the next level by just playing it safe.
Yeah. I'll be very interested to see them against the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football in Arizona, because the Seattle defense, I think, is starting to round into shape a little bit here. And I think that is another unit that has potential to be pretty nasty. Final team on who had the shittiest Sunday. The Dallas Cowboys lose 31-14 to the Chicago Bears. The Cowboys have now allowed a 450-yard, 3-touchdown game to Russell Wilson and a 300-yard, 4-touchdown game to Caleb Williams, the best game of his career. Also, just like allowing a touchdown on the worst flea flicker play I've ever seen in my life.
Man, like, DeAndre Swift, he was trying to Russell Wilson that flea flicker.
I heard someone say
that.
I heard someone say it looked like an alley-oop. And I was like, yeah, that was awful. That this might be the league's worst defense.
Yeah.
Philly decided basically not to throw on them that first game. And I think that's really saving the Dallas Cowboys from more people realizing this. But they are dead last in pass yards allowed per game at 288 yards per game so far this season. And that's with Jalen Hurts throwing for 152. Like, they are very bad.
Yeah.
Against the pass right now. And I expect like Jordan Love to have a bounce back game this week and carve these guys up, because like if Russell Wilson's throwing for 450 on you in the year 2025, that is a referendum in and of itself. Like that, just that number is going to stick with me the entire season.
The key is they didn't let him get into the red zone. They should have let him get into the red zone.
That is true. But like Russell Wilson was just throwing bombs to Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson!" And I'm like, we should have known something was wrong when Wan'Dale Robinson was catching bombs.
When Wan'Dale Robinson was relevant.
Wan'Dale Robinson, I had the stat and I can't remember. He was like top 10 in catches last year and didn't have 700 yards.
Yeah.
Last season, he had like 690 yards and he was like top 10 in catches. Him catching deep balls was not on my bingo card. But all right, the pertinent question, the question we've been trying to answer for an hour, Matt, who had the worst Sunday?
I think it's Atlanta. Because what we saw from Michael Penix is real, this has extreme long-term consequences for them. Like, they used a highly valuable pick to draft him, and they have that Kirk Cousins contract that they're dealing with. And if he can't play at a league average starting quarterback level, then they are fucked for several years.
Oh, can I throw another log on the fire for you? In case people don't remember? Guess who doesn't own their first round pick this year?
The Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons traded this year's first to get back into the first and draft James Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And the Falcons fans said, not us. That won't fuck us. We're the Atlanta Falcons. Nothing bad has ever happened to the Atlanta fucking Falcons. It's like the same thing with the Orlando Magic trading all of their first for Desmond Bane. They're just like, we're the Orlando Magic. We've never had the first overall pick in the NBA lottery. Nothing bad happens to the Orlando Magic ever. Yeah, if Penix doesn't get better and the Falcons record is not good, like even if that pick ends up just being like top 15, that trade looks a lot worse. I didn't pick the Falcons. I think it's a really good decision. I think it's a good pick. But I went with the Houston Texans purely based on the fact that, like I said, I think this was the first game that a lot of Texans fans are going to look at the team and be like, CJ Stroud might not be it.
Yeah. And their season is all but technically over.
Yeah, like I said, only 6 teams have ever gone 0-3 and still made the playoffs. Yeah. Like, you're already 3 games back from the Colts, and we've only played 3 games. Not good. And I really think that if I was a Houston fan, I'd be like, shit, we lost the first 2 games, but you know what? It was the Rams and the Bucks. Those are really good teams.
Yeah.
Let's, all of our division games are ahead of us. Let's just take care of business in our division. We'll get back on track. We'll be 1-2. It'll be fine. We play the Titans next week. I don't know if they're going to beat the Titans this weekend. I think they will.
Yeah.
because Callahan and a rookie quarterback going up against the Texans defense,
Yeah.
but like they can't score. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, who had the most painful weekend? Definitely from a game perspective, it was the Falcons.
Yeah.
But if I was a Texans fan, I think I feel worse today because I'm like, I really thought we had it. I really thought we did, and we don't.
Yeah, I mean, you would like to look at this matchup as a Texans fan and say, Will Anderson Jr. is going to be all over Cam's ass, and there will probably be some interceptions because of it and all that. But we've also, I think we both agree, like, he's rightfully a number one overall pick. May not have been a number one overall pick every year, but good enough to be one. If this upcoming week could just be his, like, I'm here game. And
yeah,
like that, like, there's nothing else you can do about that. Like, because he can drop dimes.
Yeah, I don't expect it against this defense, but if it does happen against this defense,
yeah.
like if they lose to the Titans, yeah. All right, America's favorite segment, Bolds and Scolds, week 3 of the NFL season. It's your week to go first. Who is your bold?
So this was tough for me because there are a lot of guys that I wanted to pick. So I decided to zoom out, and I'm just going to say the Lions in general, right? I think it is fair to say that the Lions have officially squashed the brain drain narrative. That the coordinators, I think, are no longer an issue. Going into Baltimore, winning a huge game on Monday Night Football, and now being, tied for the lead in the division after a start that a lot of people thought was going to be the end of the Lions' grip on the division. 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson. Insane. Adam, do you know what Penei Sewell's PFF grade was this week?
100?
I believe it was 98.7. His run blocking grade was 99.3.
Good Lord. I think they don't give out 100s.
No.
I think like that's as close as you can get.
I mean, Isaiah Rodgers didn't get 100. Right. So, like, I mean, there was very little things to look at this game and not say, like, that guy showed up and, like, was exactly who he needed to be. There's nothing I saw from that game that makes me think that this team isn't just going to get right on the same path that they were on last year and probably win the division again and be fighting for a number 1 seed.
Yeah. I fully expect them to beat Cleveland this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just super interested to see the Lions run game against Cleveland's run defense.
Yeah.
Like that's, just like from a nerd perspective of what happens.
And I think what's interesting about that is the Lions are different than the vast majority of the teams in the NFL when it comes to the running game. Because most teams are either a gap scheme running game or a zone scheme running game. And the Lions interchange between all running concepts interchangeably and do all of them at a very high level. and that makes it really hard to prepare for. So, like, it's truly going to be a strength on strength test in this. And I mean, Jim Schwartz has been calling defenses for a couple of decades now in the NFL, and I mean, if anyone's going to give us problems, it's probably going to be him. But it'll be fun to watch. But yeah, that game was definitely like it took the weight off of the way the season started, and like, okay, like we're back, we're fully back.
Yeah, maybe my team will get one of those good wins someday. My bold for week 3 is the aforementioned Isaiah Rodgers, cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings, became the 28th player in NFL history to score 2 defensive touchdowns in the same game, had a pick 6 and a fumble return for a touchdown. So good shit from Isaiah Rodgers. Matt, who is your scold for week 3?
So there were a couple. I might squeeze an honorable one in after you're done. But I could not get away from Russell Wilson. On the season, Russell Wilson is 1 for 11 passing in the red zone. If you watch the game against the Chiefs, he was awful, like truly awful. And again, like, so people have given Anthony Richardson a lot of shit for like his one play tap out. Well, in this game, the Giants are like fighting, trying to win this game. They're in the red zone. And this is a goal to go situation. It is what they're inside the 10-yard line. Russell Wilson is under pressure and throws the ball into the tunnel. Intentional grounding. The guy basically said, I don't want to get hit. Fuck this. And preemptively ended that drive for his team. Like, repeatedly he was throwing balls into the end zone that his receivers did not have a chance to catch. And, like, for a guy who's had, like, so many negative, like, rumors leak out about him, to see that, like, I just, based on my experience of having been on a team, that would sit a lot worse with me than a dude tapping out for one play. Because
the segment
that's all about you when you make that decision.
The segment was going to be way funnier before the Giants came out and said, hey, we're starting Jackson Dart this weekend.
Yeah.
But also, like, is it the best idea to start Jackson Dart against the Chargers, who have had a good defense to start this year?
I know that they played the Saints the following week, but have you looked at who they play after that?
No.
It's like the Eagles, someone else in the Eagles again. So, like, I get that it's not a good time, but, like, when is? You know, their schedule is so fucked that it's like, cool. Yeah, I'm like, let's give them a soft one and then feed them to the Eagles?
But could we have started, like, could we have done Jameis this weekend against the Chargers?
So that's
start next week?
Honestly, this is the biggest question I have about anything this entire season. Why is Jameis Winston on this roster? Because they have zero intention of putting him on the field no matter what.
Yeah.
They've they've stated flat out that like Jackson Dart is going to start the rest of the season and Russell Wilson is going to back him up. So even after all of that, they are not considering putting Jameis Winston on the field. So why is he on the roster?
Yeah, I don't think they expected to like Dart as much as they do. Like, I think they hoped they would, but I think they like really, really love him. So they're like ready to go with him now, and they just kind of been waiting until it was go time. But yeah, to say that Russell Wilson is going to be the backup still is
that
a little
tells
crazy.
me that you just are refusing to play Jameis, which like Jameis is a unique individual, right? He's probably not for everyone, but like, okay. Like,
but
you know who might want him right now? Cincinnati.
Yeah, the thing I thought was hilarious is that Russell Wilson came out and said he's not going to ask for a trade or to be released. And I was like, yeah, because if you're not on the Giants, you're not going to have a fucking job.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's going to want you.
No.
Dude, there's too much baggage of like bringing him in as a veteran quarterback and the name and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no return because he's awful.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is he got ran out of Seattle. Like, that isn't the narrative that people played out, but like you kind of read the tea leaves. That is exactly what happened. And he got ran out of Denver.
Well, like, Denver trading for him and giving him that contract is, I'm shocked that Denver is as good as they are.
Yeah.
Right now, right? Because that should have been crippling for years.
It really should have. But like repeatedly, like you show up these places and they're like, actually, like, don't ever come back here, please. Like,
yeah. My scold for week 3 is trying to kick game-winning field goals. So 4 field goals were blocked on Sunday, and it is the most field goals that have been blocked in a single week since 1991. However, a couple of them were like also in extremely critical situations. So we talked about the Rams lining up to kick the game-winning field goal. It got blocked and taken back for a touchdown. That was the second time they had a field goal blocked in that game. Green Bay was up 10-0 almost the entire game. They blow the lead, and it's 10-10. They drive down to get themselves in field goal position to have like the put-ahead field goal or what could have been the game-winning field goal. And that is blocked. And then Cleveland takes that, gets themselves in position to kick a game-winning field goal. Tampa Bay, our eliminator pool pick, was up 6 against the Jets. They drive down to kick a field goal to make it a 9-point game. That field goal is blocked and taken back for a touchdown to put the Jets up by 1. Luckily, Baker Mayfield takes the Buccaneers down and puts them in position for a game-winning field goal, which McLaughlin hits and they win. But I've never seen that many field goals get blocked, and I've never seen that many field goals get blocked in critical situations.
Yeah.
Like game-altering situations for all 3 of those field goals that were blocked. Like, not a good day.
No, hard day to be a special teams coordinator.
Well, for half of
of
those teams, half of the special teams coordinators are like, I'm the greatest coordinator ever.
I need a raise.
Yeah, they are in there asking for a raise. But did you have another one you wanted to sneak in before we make?
Yeah, I already mentioned it a little bit, but really, Green Bay Packers players in the locker room talking about going undefeated after 2 weeks. Really?
Yeah. This classic case of buying your own hype a little too much.
Which, like, I get that, like, yes, they are the youngest roster in the NFL. Yeah. Still, the fact that there was a culture in that locker room that players felt comfortable doing that, I think says a lot about Matt LaFleur, even though he reportedly didn't like it. Although the fact that it's only coming out after they lost to the Browns tells me that that's probably a little bit revisionist.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like if they did go undefeated, they'd be like, yeah, they've been talking about it since week 2, and everybody'd be like, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But since they immediately lost, it is frowned upon. I fully expect them to bounce back.
Oh yeah,
this weekend. Like
they'll
they're
beat
gonna
the shit out of Dallas,
beat the
and
shit out of
then
Dallas.
they'll be like, "See, we're great," and then they'll have another couple of eggs that they lay throughout the season.
Yeah, I'm just not ready for Chris Collinsworth to talk about Micah Parsons and Dallas and Jerry Jones for 6 hours on Sunday. It'll be a tough one. Final segment here before we log off. I think this is going to be a pretty easy one. The eliminator pool pick for week 4. About 25% of the pool was knocked out last week. So this was like the first. I wouldn't call it the culling because the culling is like 50%. But this was the biggest knockout week so far because the first 2 weeks were like 6% and 4%. So it'd been pretty quiet. The Packers were the most popular incorrect pick. About 18% of the pool picked them and got knocked out. So pretty significant chunk there. Like I mentioned, we barely survived thanks to the Bake Show. But I will say, after the Jets blocked that kick and took it back for a touchdown, I was very confident that Baker had us.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you know what? Like, there are very, very few quarterbacks, maybe only 2, I would rather have in that situation than Baker Mayfield. I'm like, I got to drive down and get points. I still think I'm going Mahomes and Allen over anybody else. But, like, Baker's right there.
Yeah, I think just based on his history, I'm still taking Stafford, too.
You know? Yeah. Yep, Stafford's... Well... I guess he
maybe
did get them
not
in
this
position.
past week. But,
well, he did get them in position, right?
Yeah.
And then the field goal got blocked. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Stafford's up there too. But like those are the guys. Like he's in the conversation with those guys.
Yeah,
you know,
which is
he's
pretty elite company.
Already had 3 game-winning drives this season. You know, with like less than a minute left. So felt very comfortable there. Looking at week 4. There's really only one pick we can make.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills are favored by 16.5 points at home against the New Orleans Saints. It hits all the criteria. It is the best team we can take against the worst team we can take because the Saints are the worst team and the Bills are one of the best. It is not a division game, and we are picking a home team. And we're picking, like, it's Josh Allen versus Spencer Rattler. Do you know what Spencer Rattler's career record is?
Bad.
0-9.
Yeah.
0-9. And the worst starts ever to a career is 0-15 by Chris Wenke and Deshaun Kaiser. God. Can Spencer Rattler beat that, or do the Saints pull him before then? Time will tell. But they're not beating Buffalo.
No.
This is like a no sweat, like, let's just move on to week 5. Like, it's done. It's done. Like, there is no other pick.
Which is to say, maybe go put some money on the Saints' money line just in case. This
is a win-win.
Is it like plus 800 or something like that?
Yeah. This is an absolute win for me, though, because either we move on or the Bills lose to the Saints, and I'm going to have the time of my life on this podcast next week. I'll just thoroughly enjoy that. Like, that'll be the whole pod. But for now, that is it for us. As always, Fouled Out can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can hit us up on Gmail, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. And you can now watch the podcast and all of our shorts on YouTube. We have plenty of shorts from the podcast, and then you can watch the whole video thing on YouTube. Thank you for those of you who have checked that out. If you haven't already, Look up Fouled Out Sports on YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow that. Really appreciate your guys' support. Matt and I will be back next Thursday talking about week 4 of the NFL season and starting to look ahead to week 5. But for now, my friend, I will talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye,
Mom.
Robin.